So it looks like we got some bad news coming from Sony because they have announced that officially they will be ending their physical releases for games in January 2028. So after this date, there will be no longer any physical games for PlayStation, which means after this date, and now I'm guessing it's going to be the same for the PS6, is that we're going to have to buy games digitally. So no more physical releases for games after this date, which actually really sucks. Because for me, I actually love collecting physical games. You know, I like having them on the shelf and I like having a physical copy of the game. And that's not only on PlayStation. You know, I got physical games on Nintendo as well, which I collect. Also, not even in gaming. Like, I have actually movies on Blu-ray that I actually do collect. Because I like having, you know, I like collecting physical media because I like having it physically, you know, because I can watch it whenever, anytime I want to. And, you know, I'm watching it in the best quality possible when it comes to movies. But the problem by owning things digitally is that you technically do not own the digital copy. You basically purchase the license for it, and you basically, you know, you still download the file, but you purchase the license. But the reason why that's a bit of a danger is because they can take that away from you anytime they want to. Like, because not only that is that they actually announced with this announcement, they also announced something else, that they will be closing the PlayStation 3 storefront and the PlayStation Vita storefront, which actually means we're losing all of those games now. You know, and not only that, they also announced that they've closed all, not just closed, but people are going to lose access to the movies that they brought from the PlayStation. You know, the movie, you know, people are losing the movies that they brought through that too. So they've lost all of that too. So that's the problem with buying digital, is because you're gonna. It's almost like a ticking time bomb. You're gonna lose it eventually. You know what I mean? Because if you have the thing physically, you can do whatever you want with it. Because you know there's a physical copy. You got the physical copy of the game or movie. You got it there in front of you. You can plug it, just put it in, and you can watch it or play it whenever you want to. And you don't have to rely on the internet. You don't have to rely on licensing, on anything like that, because you own the physical copy. Digitally, like I said, it's another thing, because like I said, you're just pretty much purchasing the license to download whatever the movie or the game, and then you watch through that one. Like, even if it's streaming, right? So yeah, and they can take it away anytime they want to. So that's the danger. But yeah, that's the one thing I really hate about this whole everything going digital. Now, I do hope that this never happens to movies. I hope you can always purchase movies physically, because if this happens to movies, it will piss me off. Because the thing is also, look, when it comes to movies, it is a different story compared to gaming, because with games, there is a little bit of a caveat here as well, because when it comes to gaming, for a while now, ever since actually even the PS3 era, when you used to buy a new game, like even if you bought it physically, you had to do a download patch after as well. So as soon as you put the disc in, the PlayStation will download the data on the disc and will install a patch from the internet. That's the problem with gaming, because they always, you know, you always have to download a patch to fix all the bugs and all that stuff. So it's a little bit different when it comes to gaming, which is I think this is what really pushed the gaming into digital, which is actually kind of what happened with PC, because with PC, people back in the day used to collect the physically. They used to buy all the games physically. But ever since Steam, you know, people just buy the games off Steam and they just download, because it's easier and more convenient to do it that way. And not only that, like, if you look at the gaming model as a whole, the way they develop the games now, it's kind of like that. So because of the business model, that's the way gaming is pushed now. So it's going digital is easier for them. Actually, the thing with Steam is that you can always buy games at a discounted price, because they do have specials and stuff like that. When it comes to consoles, and especially like with PlayStation, now with PlayStation, look, they do have games on specials and stuff like that. But when it comes to new games, like, because here's the thing, buying a game digitally, because you don't own the game digitally, you just purchase the license, like, do we still have to pay full price for that? Like, shouldn't the prices go down because it's digital, like, because you technically you don't own it, which should be the case, but I highly doubt they'll do that. I highly doubt it because they want to make maximum profits, if you know what I mean. So I don't think they're going to bring down the prices, but technically they should because it is a digital game. Now the reason why I brought this up is because if you think about it, there is some place because I'm seeing they're getting a major backlash over this, and I can see already people saying is that what it will be the point of me buying a PS6 if a few years down the line I lose some of my games later on in the future, comparing to Steam, where Steam rarely removes games. They do remove games, but it's very, very, very rare. Like you pretty much have it forever. So should they invest in a PC or should they buy the new PS6? I'm seeing a lot of people talking about that. So that is actually something to think about. Because the thing is that Sony needs to really think about game preservation. Like what happens if, like right now, right, we got the PS5. Like buy a game on PS5. Like let's say down the line when we reach PlayStation 8, for example, yeah? Like the games that are brought for PS5, like are they still going to be there or are they going to be, removed? You know what I mean? So that's one thing that Sony does need to think about is game preservation. So maybe they could do something where maybe going forward, like now from the PS5 going forward, maybe it will always be backwards compatible, if you know what I mean. So maybe if we get the PlayStation 20, it'll be all the way backwards compatible to the PS5, for example. Just giving an example, but maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll do something similar to that because what I've noticed, even with Nintendo or the Switch 2, is that the Switch 2 is compatible with the Switch 1, so you can play the same games that you had on the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. Now, the reason why I brought that up because Nintendo, the generations before the Switch 1, they were basically stuck. All those games were stuck on that console. Like once they closed the shop, or like for example the 3DS, right? When they closed that shop, like that console's done. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't do anything. It's almost bricked with. I always say it's fully bricked, but if you have physical games, you can still play your physical games, but the store is closed. You know what I mean? So they have to think about a way to preserve these games. So Sony has to really think about that because if we start losing games, like going forward, let's say we reach, like I said, PS8, and then we lose everything what we had on the PS5 and PS6, so we lose all those games. Like, what will be the point of that? Like, people will start thinking, oh, maybe I should move to PC because PC has all the games there. Well, not all the games because there's exclusives and stuff like that, but most of the games there are preserved. Like I said, it's very rarely that they do remove games, but the games are more preserved. So that's the one thing that they do have to think about, I think, is how to preserve the games going forward, especially now that everything's moving digital. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? Also, another thing I actually want to bring up is PS6 really going to launch without a disc drive? Because, look, I might be wrong about this, but doesn't Sony own Blu-ray? So I'm actually kind of curious about that because look, I'm not going to say that they're going to lose the rights to Blu-ray, but they own it. So what are they trying to make money off Blu-ray by releasing a Blu-ray drive on a PS6? It's just a question because I was actually even watching Angry Joe talking about it as well and it actually made me think. So yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with that because me personally, I think that they should release PS6 with a disc drive, or even if we have to buy it separately, I reckon that they should do that. It needs to either come with a disc drive or be compatible with a disc drive that you could actually buy separately. Hopefully they do that, but we have to wait and see because, like I said, there's 100 now that they're doing all of this. There's like 100 questions now that we all have, and they got to address all these. They need to provide us with a lot of answers going forward after this because the way things are going, man, it's literally the end of an era. Like this is it. Like this is really the end of physical games. Like I said, I love collecting physical media, but now that's coming to an end. You know what I mean? So yeah, we are gonna have to wait and see what's gonna happen in the future because things are gonna be very different going forward from now on. Well, in January 2028, things after that will be very different, especially when it comes to gaming. But we're just going to have to wait and see because some people even are saying they're going to boycott the next generation because everything's going digital. So who knows? Maybe we're going to see another game crash for all we know. So technically, if you actually think about the game prices now, how much games cost, yeah, like it looks like we are heading for another game crash. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait and see what the future holds, because yeah, like I said, end of an era, and this is the end of physical games. So this is like the last run, which is a year plus now. So until 2028 will be the end of it. So yeah, so it looks like we're gonna have to wait and see what the future holds. But yeah, we had a very good run though. We had a good run. So anyway, that's enough from me. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And yeah, thank you for watching.